Part 1. Used vegetable oil can be hazardous to your health if not disposed of properly. It contains high levels of fat and chemicals that can contaminate soil and water. When you pour used oil down the drain, it can clog pipes and cause backups. Instead, follow these expert tips on how to dispose of used vegetable oil safely. First, let's talk about why we need to handle used oil with care. Used oil is a mixture of chemicals that can be toxic to humans and the environment. If you pour it down the drain, it can seep into groundwater and contaminate soil, posing serious health risks. Now, let's move on to some simple steps you can take to dispose of used vegetable oil responsibly. You can take it to a recycling center or an auto parts store that accepts used oil. Some communities also have special collection events for hazardous waste, including used oil. Another option is to mix the used oil with kitty litter or sand and dispose of it in a sealed container at home. Finally, consider using reusable containers to collect and transport your used vegetable oil. By following these tips, you can ensure that your used vegetable oil is disposed of safely and responsibly. Don't risk poisoning yourself or contaminating the environment. Take action today. Part 2. Gaby's secret Mexican rice recipe is a game changer for any meal. This easy and authentic recipe has been passed down through generations of home cooks in Mexico. The secret to its delicious flavor lies in the combination of sautéed onions, garlic, and tomatoes. Start by heating olive oil in a large skillet over medium heat. Add diced onions and cook until they're translucent and starting to caramelize. Next, add minced garlic and cook for another minute, stirring constantly to prevent burning. Now it's time to add the rice, stirring to coat the grains with oil and mix with the onion and garlic mixture. Add diced tomatoes, chicken broth, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Bring the mixture to a boil, then reduce heat to low, cover, and simmer for about 20 minutes or until the liquid is absorbed and the rice is tender. Fluff the Mexican rice with a fork and serve hot alongside your favorite dishes. This recipe is easy to make in large quantities, making it perfect for family gatherings or potlucks. Part 3. Fried chicken fat, a staple in many kitchens, can be safely disposed of and odor reduced with some simple tips. First, let it start with the basics. What happens to fried chicken fat when you throw it away? When you dispose of it down the drain, it solidifies into a greasy substance that clogs pipes and harms the environment. Instead, consider these easy steps to handle your leftover fried chicken fat at home. Start by letting it cool completely, then transfer it to a heat-resistant container. You can also use an old tin can or a dedicated fat container. Once cooled, pour off any excess liquid into the sink drain and dispose of the remaining fat in the trash. To further reduce grease odors, sprinkle some baking soda on top of the solidified fat and let it sit overnight before disposing of it in the trash. This simple trick helps absorb the lingering smells and makes cleanup easier. For an added layer of protection, consider using a disposable liner or a plastic bag to cover the container when disposing of the fat in the trash. By following these easy steps, you can safely dispose of fried chicken fat at home and reduce grease odors for good. Remember to always handle hot containers with care and keep your kitchen clean and tidy. Part 4. Maple syrup is a staple in North American baking, adding richness and depth to treats like pancakes, waffles, and of course, cookies. The classic maple bar, with its gooey maple filling and crunchy cookie exterior, has been a favorite for generations. While it might seem daunting to make these iconic bars at home, the process is actually quite straightforward. Start by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Line an 8 by 8 inch baking dish with parchment paper or aluminum foil for easy cleanup. In a medium-sized bowl, whisk together 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Set aside for now. In a large bowl, cream together 1 cup of unsalted butter and 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar until light and fluffy. Beat in 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract until well combined. Gradually mix in the dry ingredients until just combined, being careful not to overmix. Stir in 1 cup of chopped walnuts for added texture and flavor. Press half of the dough into the prepared baking dish. In a small saucepan, melt 1/2 cup of unsalted butter over low heat. Add 1/4 cup of pure maple syrup and whisk until smooth. Bring to a simmer and cook for about 5 minutes, or until the mixture thickens slightly. Pour the maple filling over the cookie dough in the baking dish. Top with the remaining dough, pressing gently to seal. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes, or until the edges are lightly golden brown. Remove from the oven and let cool completely before cutting into bars. Enjoy your homemade maple bars. Part 5. Shrimp scampi is a classic Italian-American dish made with succulent shrimp, garlic, and parsley. The key to this recipe is the simplicity of its ingredients and the quick cooking time. To start, heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a large skillet over medium-high heat. Add 1 clove of minced garlic and sauté for 1 to 2 minutes until fragrant. Next, add 1 pound of peeled and deveined shrimp to the skillet. Cook for 2 to 3 minutes per side until pink and cooked through. Finally, stir in 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh parsley and season with salt and pepper to taste. Serve immediately over pasta or rice and enjoy. Shrimp scampi is a versatile dish that can be made in many different ways. Try adding some lemon juice or zest for extra flavor. You can also add some garlic bread on the side for dipping in the sauce. Part 6. Gluten-free bread has become a staple for many people with gluten intolerance or sensitivity. Despite its popularity, some argue that it's not worth the hype. Let's explore the history of this bread and whether it lives up to its claims. Gluten-free bread has been around since the 1950s, but it wasn't until the 2000s that it gained mainstream attention. One reason for its growing popularity is the increased awareness of gluten-related disorders like celiac disease and non-celiac gluten sensitivity. However, some experts question whether gluten-free bread can truly replicate the taste and texture of traditional bread. We'll also talk to a baker who specializes in gluten-free bread and learn about their experiences making this type of bread. From ancient grains to modern manufacturing processes, we'll cover it all. So let's get started on this journey into the world of gluten-free bread. Part 7. Carbonated drinks have been around for thousands of years, with ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Greeks using them to preserve food and quench thirst. However, it wasn't until the late 18th century that carbonation became a staple in modern soft drink production. The first commercially available soda was ginger ale, invented by James Verner in 1866. Verner's secret ingredient was a type of carbonated water that he infused with ginger and spices. The drink quickly gained popularity across North America and eventually spread to other parts of the world. Today, carbonated drinks are enjoyed globally, with many different flavors and brands available. Despite their widespread popularity, some argue that carbonation has negative health effects due to its acidity and potential impact on gut health. Nonetheless, it remains a beloved beverage choice for many people around the world. The history of carbonated drinks is a fascinating story that spans centuries and continents. Part 8. Maple creemies are a classic Canadian summer treat that has a rich history and cultural significance. They were invented by a Vermont farmer named Thomas Jefferson in the 19th century, who wanted to create a creamy dessert using local maple syrup. The name, creamy, is actually derived from the word, cream, which refers to the smooth and creamy texture of the ice cream. To make authentic maple creamies at home, you'll need a few key ingredients: pure Canadian maple syrup, heavy cream, sugar, and a pinch of salt. Start by mixing together your maple syrup and sugar in a small bowl until well combined. Next, whip your heavy cream until it becomes stiff and holds its shape. Fold the whipped cream into the maple syrup mixture until fully incorporated. Add a pinch of salt to balance out the sweetness and flavor. Finally, pour your creamy mixture into cones or bowls and enjoy immediately. When making creamies at home, be sure to use high-quality ingredients and follow traditional recipes for the best results. Part 9. Gluten-free bread has long been a topic of debate among bread enthusiasts. Some swear by its ability to mimic the taste and texture of traditional bread, while others claim it's just a poor imitation. The answer lies in the ingredients and cooking techniques used. Gluten-free flours can be notoriously dense and dry, making them difficult to work with. However, some experts argue that the right combination of flours and moisture levels can produce a surprisingly similar taste and texture to traditional bread. We'll also share a recipe for gluten-free bread that's sure to impress even the most discerning palates. With its perfect balance of crunch and chew, this bread is the perfect substitute for those with dietary restrictions.